More in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. Welcome back to Spectrum News within the hour. We begin the news this afternoon from the national scene where the federal government will save about 5.06 trillion naira annually from cutting down on the importation of defense equipment. The Minister of State for Defense, Bello Mohammed Matawale, announced this in Abuja while unveiling X-Shield Light tactical armored vehicle produced by a defense and on security, how the weapons are being sourced and the channels through capable of weakening frontline effectiveness. The Corps spoke at a high-level seminar organized by the Army Headquarters Department of Transformation and Innovation, themed Warrior Ethos, a tool for building unit cohesion and a combat-ready force, held at the Headquarters 8th Division Auditorium. Represented by the theater commander, Opfi Man not only weaponry and tactics, but also mentally resilient and morally grounded soldiers. He noted that prolonged counterinsurgency and internal security operations across the country have exposed troops to intense psychological pressure, making issues such as PTSD. In a separate development, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, has extended the loan application deadline for the 2025/2026 academic session from January 31st to February 27th. In another development, the changes take effect from today, January 30, 2026. According to the statement, the governor said he is confident that adjustments will enhance coordination, policy implementation, and governance in the state. And back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino says his administration is deliberately using indigenous country economic growth and prosperity in the state. The governor stated this during an inspection visit to different project sites on arrival from an official engagement outside the state. He commended the indigenous contractors for their spirit of industry and excellence as evident in their timely and quality delivery, where he said is a typical of all hard-working Akwa Ibomites. Fielding questions from Government House correspondents at the equipment leasing company located at Ekpurin Fort, where he visited after the aviation village and Dakada luxury estate, the governor expressed delight at their commitment and urged ongoing projects across the state. Governor Eno, who stated that the equipment leasing company project will be commissioned on the 27th of February, reiterated his administration's commitment to youth empowerment in line with the human capital development vision of the Arise agenda, and charged youth to rise and take up challenges by joining hands to build a greater Akwa Ibom and provide jobs for other youth. And in the meantime, Governor Moino has described Ibom Air, the state-owned airline, as the most excellent in service delivery in Nigeria. Responding to questions from Government House correspondents on his arrival at the Victor Atta International Airport, the governor commended the airline for its impressive standard and sustained excellence, which has enabled it to become a symbol of emulation for other airlines in the country, assuring that he will always fly with the airline. Governor Eno had boarded Ibom Air with other passengers who received various gifts from the state leader. Meanwhile, addressing the passengers on board, the governor thanked them for their consistent patronage of the airline. He promised the passengers that Ibom Air will keep on providing quality services in line with international standards and assured of the state government's continued support for the airline and also its readiness to make the airport one of the best in the country. In Africa, South Africa has declared Israel's top diplomat in the country persona non grata and given him 72 hours to leave. Ties between the two nations are already strained, with a stop court in 2023 to argue that Israel's war on Gaza and illegally occupied Palestinian territory amounted to genocide. The ministry said in a statement that the Israeli government have been informed that it's changed the affairs, where Ariel Seidman has been declared persona non grata and required to depart from the Republic within 72 hours. With parts of a funding package, Senate Democrats and Republicans agreed to a package of five spending bills, but removed a sixth bill from the package related to funding for the Department of Homeland Security DHS, while both sides work out a new deal to fund the agency. The deal approves funding for the defense until the end of the 2026 fiscal year on September 30. And still on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to impose 50% tariffs on Canadian planes in retaliation for Canada and steadfastly refusing to certify a number of planes made by the U.S. firm Gulfstream. In a social media post, who pledged new tariffs on countries that sell oil to Cuba as the U.S. steps up its pressure on the Caribbean nation's communist leadership. The proposed new levies were outlined in an executive order, but no detail had been given. And still to come in the news. NNL extends transfer window registration of new players. Stay tuned for detail of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back. The Independent Media and Policy Initiative has projected that Nigeria's gross domestic product will reach 5.5% in 2026, driven by what it describes as the new economic model deployed by President Bola Tinubu. This was disclosed in a policy statement signed by its chairman, Dr. Omoniyi at Nigerian economy. And still in business, Nigeria's currency, Naira, has traded below the 1,400 Naira per dollar on the official market for the first time in over a year, making a notable psychological market milestone for the currency. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, showed that the Nigerian foreign exchange market rate strengthened to 1,396 Naira per dollar yesterday, up from 1,400. In health, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, has issued a 4-week ultimatum to the federal government to fully implement allowances and welfare, even as it extended the suspension of its total indefinite comprehensive strike, TICS. The decision was taken at the end of the association's January National Executive Council meeting and scientific conference held in Jos, Plateau State. In a communique jointly signed by NARD President Mohammed Suleiman, Secretary General Shaibu Ibrahim, and Publicity and Social Secretary Abdul Majid Ibrahim. The association expressed appreciation of the strike suspension for another 4 weeks was a goodwill gesture in recognition of what it described as progress made by the federal government. Spain's Alcaraz came through a 6-4, 7-6, 7-5, 6-7, 3-7, 6-7, 4-7, 7-5 after an enthralling 5 hours and 27 minutes. But the scoreline barely hints at the drama that occurred in Melbourne. Alcaraz had clinched the first 2 sets and was cruising when serving at 4-4 in alive the 22-year-old's bid to write more tennis history. And still in sports, the Nigerian National League, NNL, has extended the date for the mid-season window, which was initially scheduled to close on Saturday, 31st January, has been extended to Friday, 6th February 2026. The NNL Chief of Operating Officer, Danlami Alanana, disclosed this on Friday. He stated that the decision was reached after considering the strong appeal by the clubs on the deadline. The second stanza is expected to commence next month. On our entertainment news, legendary Afrobeat pioneer Fela Anikulapo Kuti is set to receive a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award at the Grammys Awards, nearly 3 decades after his death, making a historic first for an African musician. Widely regarded as the architect of Afrobeat, Fela's recognition comes amid growing global acknowledgement of African music, following the worldwide success of Afrobeats and the Grammys' introduction of the Best African Performance category in 2024. Reacting to the honor, his son, an Afrobeat musician, Seun Kuti, said Fela had been in the hearts of the people for a long time, adding that the Grammys have also acknowledged it. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inung. Enjoy the rest of your day.